It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. From Pantha Tracks TV, this is Good Morning Tatooine!
Good morning, Tatooine, indeed. We're back with episode 11 of Andor 2 Review. And joining me for this recorded show from panthatracks.com, the social media guru that is Mr. Matt Booker.
Guru. You keep calling me guru. I'm not a guru. Jesus. Good evening, Mr. Cameron. How are we?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Been a busy week. Very busy week.
Yeah, you had the opportunity to go and see the premiere of Willow. Which
First episode at a cinema in Leicester Square in a Soho in London.
It
Rather
comes
good
to
fun.
Disney Plus in 10 days' time.
Yeah, can't review it for another 10 days, but enjoyed it.
Yep, that's all we need to know.
Yeah.
And the other show, obviously, in Disney Plus that Lucasfilm are pushing out just now is Andor. Have you enjoyed it up to this stage?
Oh, hell yes. I have really enjoyed it. Yep. It's really ticking every box for me. It's very different. It's very fresh. It's a lot of story, and it looks real.
Yeah, it does. It's a different kind of a way for Star Wars. But it's been thoroughly enjoyable. It's been a bit of a slow burn at times, but the payoffs have been worth it, I think.
It's a very different pace, but the aesthetic is very Star Wars in its own way. I've just driven back from a long journey away for the weekend, listening to the latest Making Tracks podcast that New Bold's been doing.
Yep.
And interviews Luke Hull and a few other guys working on the show, and Nicholas Britell. And listening to them talk about the aesthetic of what they were doing with it was really, really heartwarming. And what they set out to do and what they were told to do. You know, don't do a Star Wars score. Make your own score of it. And Britell has. Don't make it look like the volume. And it really doesn't. I enjoyed what we've seen with The Mandalorian with the volume and how clever it is. And after season 1, you didn't know what they were doing and how they did it. And it was brilliant. But Andor shows it up completely that they've got in America too used to and too comfortable using the volume. And Andor, we have the Highlands. We have so many beautiful locations, including this week's, which was a fantastic location, which I was lucky enough to get a tip off from one of our readers last year and visit. But we'll go into that in a bit. But yeah, it's great.
Talking about that location, there it goes. It's
oh, look, there it is.
You were able to visit that. It's a quarry down in England.
Yeah, just north of Matlock, up in Derbyshire. There is this quarry, which name escapes me, but have a look on. I haven't posted it yet on socials yet, but I've got some nice comparison shots of this. But I've not posted it due to spoilers, and I was waiting for a few days for everybody to catch and watch stuff because I posted a picture of something from episode 4 the other day, and someone's like, "Oh, that's a spoiler! I've not seen it." I was like, "Dude, that was 6 weeks ago. That's 7 weeks ago. That's on you. Get off the internet, go and watch it and stop complaining." And oh, yeah, I'm not complaining, but I haven't watched it yet. I was like, well, you've got no right to the internet 7 or 8 weeks after an episode's aired and then complain you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Looking on a Star Wars specific forum. It's not as if he was on our page, it was on a forum I shared the picture to, at one of the Star Wars Celebration Europe forums for next year. And he was looking on there and it's like, yeah, you ain't got a leg to stand on, mate. So if you haven't seen it, you shouldn't be watching this either, because you need to go and watch that first before watching us waffle on about it.
Same quarry they had in Mission Impossible, I think, for the...
No, the Mission Impossible 97, Tom's Not Gonna Die, whatever it was called, the train scene with a train crashing off a smashed up bridge was literally in the quarry about half a mile east of this one.
Okay.
And filming pretty much at the same time. But yeah, summer last year, somebody gave us a tip off. I can't remember who, but whoever you were, thank you. Gave us a tip of their film at the quarry, and I popped up there and had a look round.
Excellent. And at the quarry, they were kind of hanging on the edge of the cliff, hiding from the Imperials that were kind of hunting them down in the sort of modified TIE fighter, I think it was.
Yeah.
They were looking for them. Two guys we know well from Rogue One, Cassian Andor, obviously the star of the show, and Oh, his name's just gone from my mind. Melcho.
Melshi.
Yeah, Melshi. Yeah,
Which just reminds me of Melchi from, was it Melchi from Blackadder?
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it reminds me of, which I think is kind of cool.
So
Yeah,
they've
from
escaped the
Padre.
prison. They're kind of hiding out
Yeah,
and trying to find a way off of the planet, which is going to be
yeah,
a big focus of the episode as we progress. But meanwhile, back on Ferrex, sad news that Marva's died. Um,
yeah.
B2, the robot, he's
Your favourite?
very emotional, very upset, and quite a sad scene.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, yeah, quite warming actually. Didn't see anything of her passing. Just the news that she has passed comes up, and everybody around's a bit sullen and a bit sad about it.
Yeah,
And then we get to meet other people on Ferrex.
yeah.
Well, we kind of get to meet more of the people we've already met and learn a bit more about how and why they're there and the whole, the way that place runs and rules and stuff.
Yeah, so the episode was called the Sisters of Ferrex, and
Yeah.
that's one of the Sisters of Ferrex there. And basically, their job is to turn you into a brick.
Yeah. A strange cultural way of doing things, but I quite like the idea. Quite a ritualistic thing for the way that planet has developed, probably before. I don't know about before hyperspace, but before they may have been discovered as part of the galaxy. I'm not sure, but a nice tradition, shall we say. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
on the planet here we have lots of different tribes and stuff with traditions, so it felt very tribal tradition, and I quite like the idea of that.
so effectively, you're cremated, mixed in with the mortar, turned into a brick, and then added to a wall, and that's
Yeah.
the kind of way of memorizing you. And so, whilst that kind of emotional scene's going on across the road in the little cafe, we've kind of got our rebel spy and our imperial spy who don't know each other, kind of
Yes.
watching from a distance what's going on, both wanting to track down Cassian and
Yeah.
the passing of his mother, the view as an opportunity perhaps um, to catch Cassian if he comes back to the funeral.
Yes, there seems to be a lot of people after him, and a lot of people know that that's his sort of touch point of where he may cross paths with them again, I suppose.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We're building to something, I think.
Yeah. What do you think of B2 having such deep emotions and almost human connection? I'm not sure I like this about the droids, and it's become something more apparent. I always kind of thought, wipe a droid's mind, move on.
Yeah, R2 and 3PO had a bit of humour to them. They weren't overly emotional, shall we say.
Yeah.
You might have got sad beats from R2, you definitely got some sad beats from BB-8, but there's a lot more compassion and emotion in B2, and B2 is set before either of those droids. Well, not before, but no, R2 and 3PO ran longer. But before we first knew R2 and 3PO in Timeline, New Hope R2 and 3PO didn't have any emotion really at all. A little bit of banter and humour, but nothing too much. So, yeah, B2 is a bit of a weird one. I'm not sure. I was very unsure about when I watched the first episodes why he had a voice, but I think that was because he had a lot of scenes with Cassian and was to drive the story along. But it still didn't make any sense because no other R2 units we've ever had a voice with. So why is literally a trash bot with somebody who's got no pull or say in anything, got a droid that talks when all the other droids we've seen, even BB-8 didn't talk. Dio did, which was weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Astromechs and that ilk in my head shouldn't talk, shall we say.
Yeah. Back in the prison planet, they're doing a runner whilst the TIE fighter's out of sight, but they come across some local alien race who are out doing some fishing.
Yes.
And, they decide to capture the prisoners.
Loved it.
And there's quite a long conversation goes on about how the prison has resulted in the waters being polluted and the fish dying, basically. And they're struggling to make a living. And so they don't seem particularly remorseful for these prisoners at the outset.
No, I really dug this scene because visiting that location a year ago and seeing the rocks with the sticks sticking out of them and going, what the hell's all this? And then seeing how this scene panned out was brilliant.
Yeah.
That's not a very nice still of Cassian's face there, Brian.
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
I did try and find something nice, but that was the best shot I could get.
He wasn't very happy in there. Him and Melshi were a bit tied up. I
Yeah.
really like this scene. We did find out later on that it was the mighty Mike Quinn actually puppeteering one of those two creatures and voicing one of them. I thought they were really good fun.
Yeah.
They were a nice duo. Amazing costumes, amazing performances, amazing creatures, really cool. Because there's not been, a few people have said there's not been a lot of creatures in Andor.
Yeah.
We've got steps of Coruscant places and seen quite a few creatures in background like places. But we've been around the ISB. There ain't no creatures there. They are a creatureless way of doing things, aren't they? They're like a creatureless army. They've got no different alien species in the in the Imperials at all, really.
Talking of them,
Yeah.
they get orders. The ones that are on Ferrex get orders from Daedra Miro to allow the funeral to take place at smaller attendance level, box them in. They're going to try and lay a trap for Cassian. Little do they know at that point, of course, that Cassian is kind of already trapped.
Yes.
And that's the two aliens there, as you spoke about them.
But aren't they flipping fantastic? Proper worn out, knackered out old pair of lads.
Yeah.
Love the outfits, love the look of them, love that the lunky one on the right who doesn't really talk a lot, his hands are literally missing and he's just got weapons or implements on his arms, was really cool. And they're great looking creatures and they look real. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. No CGI there at all amazing puppetry work by Scanlan and his crew. We heard from day one of the outset of Andor, Scanlan and his team were on this. And the things they have brought to screen are living fantastic and very, very Star Wars.
Yeah. So they have engaged in quite a humorous conversation with them, and it eventually leads to them being freed and weirdly given a ship to get off planet, which didn't quite make sense.
Strange they just sort of said, oh yeah, you can go out. Bit of a weird... There's been a few plot points in the show that have sort of jumped. Like, Cassian's on the beach, he got arrested for doing nothing. And then this is like, oh, you're captured, we've got you, and then, yeah, you can go. But then we see a quad jumper, a proper quad jumper, actually do quad jumping. Yeah. Loved it. Really, really dug that. Absolutely fantastic.
Looked great on screen as well. Dodgy, a little bit dodgy in the takeoff, but once it got going, it looked cool.
I loved seeing it. I like that they didn't go and design something new. They took a vehicle we knew for about half a second till it went pop in Force Awakens and used it. And it's not even an Easter egg because it's just a Ford Focus. It's just a Mercedes-Benz. It's just an off-the-shelf ship from the galaxy, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it was just awesome to see.
At that point, we jump across to Coruscant.
Yes.
And we get an unexpected kind of meeting, I guess, between Vel and Kayla and Luthien's store. Kayla's not particularly happy that Vel's turned up, but Vel wants answers, basically. Obviously concerned about what's going on with her sister and the money problems that her sister's got. Her sister, obviously, cousin, obviously Mon Mothma. It was quite a tense and kind of heated exchange between the two of them. I quite liked the scene. Two actresses that weren't really particularly promoted before the show started, but have really sort of come into their own as the show's gone on. Yeah,
I love the antique store. I love the work between these two, and the dialogue's fantastic. That it really builds their characters, and they are sort of banging heads, trying to get things sorted. But yeah, good bit of tension between them. Not sure where it's going to go, but we'll see. But I hope, I like them both. I think they're great characters. I like that there's lots of big, long dialogue-y pieces in this, building characters properly.
Yeah.
You look at something like Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett, and we didn't build any characters at all in those shows, really.
I also like the fact that the rebels aren't all on the same page, and they've all kind of got their own little agenda kind of going on.
Yeah.
It kind of works quite well. I character that's kind of popped up on Ferrex is a sort of Imperial kind of spy guy. Don't know much about him. Don't know how he's going to play into the story, but I'm throwing him out here on the basis that it looks like he's going to play a role in the finale, I think. We got a couple of scenes in this episode with Cinta playing off each other in the little cafe, so we're going to have to wait to see what happens with this guy. But when we were on Ferrex, we jumped back over to B2, and doesn't want to leave Marva's house, doesn't want to be left on his own. It's all very kind of sad. Very strange storyline for a droid, though. I just didn't buy into it.
No, bit of a weird one, but then he does go away. Or no, the other guy stays, doesn't he, for the night? So yeah. He's a bit like a lost puppy, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he met a puppy in the first episode and did a wee on him. So yeah, White Friday's circuits, you never know, Brian.
Never know. Just wipe his mind and carry on.
Yeah, fantastic looking droid. I mean, really is. So much emotion and stuff in him, and it's You say droids should have emotions, but the puppeteers on this have given him a lot more life. He's got a lot of movement to him and a lot of moving parts. Luckily, I've actually seen and stood right beside him and had a look in
because
doing stuff at the premiere.
You were there at the Andor premiere, and that was kind of the star attraction of the night, I guess.
Yes, a few of the media who were there were invited privately to a small section at the cinema they blocked off and could meet and greet with B2 and see, just cool. I posted a good few videos here and there. I wish I'd have had more time with him, but it was quite limited on, we were all filtering in the cinema and you had a couple of minutes with him, but Mark, Mulcast, myself and Claire, all Fanthers, went in and had a bit of a chat with him. So kind of impressive to see such an amazing piece of tech up so close. Really push the boundaries of what has been done with droids since day one. When you look at stuff like A New Hope, and they were literally pulling art on strings on boards across the desert and hiding the rollers in the sand so you couldn't see it, and Kenny in there with his stuff. And then this is a fully high-tech bit of equipment. And allegedly there's only one B2 actually made, I think, somebody told me. So I'm not sure how true that is, but yeah, I'm sure there's a prop one that sits in the back and stuff. Or maybe not, I don't know. There may be the only one, but a really cool droid. Yeah. Even you might agree that.
Well, don't know. Still on Ferrex. Bix looking pretty rough. It's like a Sunday morning after a heavy night out. Following our torture.
I'd say that's a Monday morning after a complete weekend bender, mate, really.
Yeah. No longer necessarily being tortured, but she's pretty much broken. Pulled back in by the Imperials for some more questioning, particularly about this rebel who is Krieger, basically, that effectively he's going to be the fall guy for the rebels. And he's the one that the Imperials are honing in on, who they think is Access, and they've kind of got it wrong. We know that, they don't. And they continue to push Bix to identify him as the person that she met, and obviously she can't. And the pressure's on very heavily on her.
Considering somebody just works in a junk shop, a car garage, she's blooming strong-willed, isn't she?
She is, yeah.
Yeah.
But for how much longer?
We shall see.
Yeah. We then headed back to Coruscant and Vel with her cousin Mon Mothma, and they have an interesting discussion about Chandrilan life as they watch Mon's daughter going through quite a, how we would say, historical kind of religious kind of
ritual.
Yeah.
Rite of passage. Not exactly sure what they were doing, but it looked like sort of a ceremony, ritual or something.
Yeah, she's become quite embroiled into the let's call them historical beliefs of the Chandrilan people, such as marrying arranged marriages at a young age, it would appear.
Yeah.
and a lot of it's got to do with the braids and the hair going by the chanting that they were doing, which explains the weird haircut, causing Mon and Vel both deep concern. It would be fair to say.
Yeah. But it fleshes out the Chandrillans. It fleshes out the whole galaxy more than, we because the show's so long and drawn, we get to know more about Star Wars culture. Some of the stuff we're getting through Andor is stuff you only normally read in books and comics. Well, no, not even comics. More stuff you read in books that's fleshed out in novels that never gets fleshed out in films.
Yeah.
You get bypasses. None of this would even take place. I like it. It adds the depth and richness and reality of the show.
And it also enhances sort of the divide from Mon and the rest of her family. So it's very much Vel and Mon on one side and everybody else on the other.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. And I'm not sure we're going to get much of a payoff on it this season, but it's certainly one that's going to play into next season, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Gilroy has said that it is a 2-season thing and he has had it all planned out. So there are threads of stories that are very slow builds in this. And some have quicker payoffs and some don't. But I like he's seeding stuff earlier on. I hope everything does have payoffs in its own respect. I hope that we don't lose some plot devices or plot points in the second season edit. I hope everything does pay through, which I'm sure it will.
Talking of people with plot points, Cyril, who's got the slowest burn story of everyone in the series, gets woken up in bed from his mother. Pretty much depressed, I would say, Cyril is at this point. But then he gets a phone call from his good mate from the local security.
The Highland lad.
Yeah.
He's a great little character, isn't he?
He is brilliant. And his mother watches him as he has this phone call.
Do you think he's got a string vest underneath like Ramsey Nesbitt, Brian?
Oh, he has to have.
Has to have a string vest.
Yeah, totally.
A mate called Ouija, isn't he?
So, Cyril has a very entertaining conversation with them that's kind of one-sided because they're not hearing each other.
Yes.
As his mother kind of watches on and listens in, his mother's not particularly impressed. She wants to kind of know what bother Cyril left behind him when he was in the corporate security. But Cyril, he's very excited by this because his whole life has taken a spiral downwards since he crossed paths with Cassian Andor and Andor got away. So this news excites him, the idea that he may be able to catch Cassian on Ferrex, and so it looks like that's where he's going to be heading.
He's on a bit of a redemption story, isn't he? I really like Cyril. I think it's been a very slow burn for the character, but he's had to meander and get a bit miserable in his amazing apartment in the Brunswick in London, which Mark and I visited last week. I like it. I like Cyril's story. It's a very slow burn. He's a bit creepy. He's a bit weird. He's a very driven character in his own way, but he seems to be really knocked off the rails.
He needs revenge is what he needs. He needs the cold-blooded death of someone to feel like he's achieved something.
Really?
It was going to be Cassian, or it's going to be one of Cassian's friends.
I don't think... Funnily enough, Brian, looking into the distant dark future, I don't think he's going to kill Cassian, funnily enough.
Yeah, that's a sad thing.
I think the bigger target being painted on...
It kind of feels like he's not going to be happy until he's smashing a stone into someone's skull.
Because he's broken.
Yeah. But we'll wait and see. He needs
scored Deirdre.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He needs something happen. What he needs is maybe a holiday here.
Yes. What a lovely place that is. I mean, we visited. It was much nicer than that, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. It looks cold and miserable that day.
We walked along that beachfront and along that promenade, and that big building in the back wasn't there.
Yeah.
And that looks much nicer in the background than Blackpool, doesn't it?
It does. Normally you'll see Blackpool Tower, which is a cheap imitation of the Eiffel Tower.
Cheap?
Well.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it as a holiday destination, but
this is more like the Miami of the North.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was actually a plot hole that I pointed out on last week's review show, that Cassian left his guns and all his credits above the shower with Windy, and what would happen. And amazingly, they solved that plot point, because that's where Cassian headed back when he got off the prison planet to retrieve his guns and his cash. So well done, Tony Gilroy, for following through on that plot point I called out. Don't know if Windy was in bed with the alien.
Don't want to.
But there was just an alien in the bed. I'm guessing it was like a hotel kind of Airbnb kind of place.
You'll have to subscribe to Only Ands and see where that was.
Yeah.
Only Andors. Yeah, I liked it.
There's his gun. There's his load of credits and his data pad, which
he's got a lot of cash, hasn't he? But
he's doing all right for himself.
Is that his share from the heist, do you reckon, or do you reckon he's got more squirreled away somewhere else?
Don't know. I reckon he's the kind of guy that doesn't keep everything in one place.
No, he's got some offshore accounts, you reckon?
Reckon so.
Or just some boxes hidden in houses all over the galaxy.
Yeah. A trail of destruction.
Yes.
After that, the episode took quite a swerve, because we ended up going back to meet Forrest Whitaker's character of Saw Gerrera and his rebel base, and he had,
endorse it.
Yeah, endorse it.
Need to visit there. I've not been down yet, but it's on the bucket list of places to go. Look at that face.
Yeah,
really good. I mean, he's only done a couple of scenes in the show so far, but he absolutely steals them completely.
Yeah, and has a testy conversation with Luthien Rail. Two rebels not on the same page.
I don't think they're in the same book or chapter or library, mate, let alone the same bookshop or printing factory.
Yeah, it's very true. Basically, Saw wants in the deal with the rebel that the Imperials are hunting down. Luthien knows that doesn't want to touch that guy with a barge pole, because the ISB are going to be all over him. He basically tells Saw that, and Saw's like not happy, because he's like, why would you let the guy die? He's a rebel like us. And Luthien says he's expendable to protect the rest of them. And the bottom line being that Saw asks if he's expendable, and Luthien says no, because you know me, which, is basically how self-centered it is. It's like, if Saw was to get captured by the Imperials, he could lead them back to Luthien, and so Luthien's more inclined to protect him. Luthien admits to having been in the same room as the other rebel, but has never actually introduced himself to him, so he feels less likely of being caught.
He's really coming out to be a great puppet master, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kind of playing everybody. He's got his fingers in every pie, but not committed to any one.
No. And a very well-connected man.
Yeah. And I kind of want to see Saw get into some kind of fighting action myself.
Yeah, I want to see him, and Two Tubes, the fall guy of this episode. I want to see Saw do a bit more. I know from the cartoons, because you haven't bothered watching them, but from the other stuff, Saw is quite a tough man who's fought, from Rogue One and all this stuff he's done in Rebels and all the other stuff he's appeared in. He has done a lot. And he just seems to sort of be cameoing in this show and not really doing a lot. So hopefully somewhere along the line, he gets a bit more action, or his crew gets more action, or something.
So we know that season 2, we're going to get in 3-episode blocks, effectively, that span a year, or there's going to be a year divide between each of them. And at some point, Saw's going to end up pretty ill and on oxygen and so on. So it's very probable, I would suggest, he's going to be some kind of conflict where he incurs some kind of injury.
Yes, I'd love to see him in his Vader costume. That'd be really, really cool. Not Vader costume, but that kind of life support costume that he had in Rogue One. I'd love to see how he gets that, and I think that's a story well worth telling.
And you can already see where Saw gets his suspicions from, and where they originate, and why he ends up having a bare gullet.
He's not a trusting lad, is he?
He's not, no.
Doesn't trust anybody. I think he's
Luthien's gonna screw him over, and that's why he has to get a boar gullet. It's kind of
yeah. We all need our boar gullet, don't we?
we do.
Because boar gullet knows.
Boar gullet does know
Yeah.
something that boar gullet doesn't know about. Of course, look at that slick link to the next scene. Is
Yes.
Cyril, his mother's leaving the apartment.
Yeah.
Cyril doing his like creepy little watching as ever, so he can head back into the apartment, break into his mother's safe and steal her cash.
Yeah.
So he can head off to Ferex to confront his arch nemesis Andor. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah. I do love her apartment. Listening to the podcast, did you know that in Deirdre's apartment in the corner, she's got a salon? Like a home salon setup. Yeah, Luke mentioned in the podcast. We built this whole salon in the corner for her with the hair thing that the old ladies have and everything. And it's never seen in this season. But yeah. And then the architecture of their apartments internally is very much of a Japanese style building that was knocked down a couple of years ago. And then the corridors outside are the Brunswick in London. Okay. So Mark might put that. So you can't get into the apartment block unless you break in because it's all security pass coded. But you can see the outside of it and the looks and the triangles and the wonky shapes and all the rest of it. If you go around the east side of it, so that's quite cool to see.
I was predicting that Cyril was going to have her killed before the end of the series, but
no,
she's going to survive into season 2 at least. Whether Cyril does, maybe still up in the air.
Brian, we need our Uncle Arlo payoff, don't we? We need to know who he is.
He needs to be the Emperor. Can only be the Emperor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's her brother is the Emperor, and Cyril's dad's the Emperor. I don't think so, Brian.
Uncle Harlow.
Darth
Sidious.
No.
Palpatine. Uncle Harlow.
No, I don't agree with that one. I think he's somebody we may have met. Whether he's Luthien or somebody else, I don't know. Is it Yularen? Who knows?
It's going to be one of the major rebels, I think.
You think?
Yeah. One of the commanders.
Oh, one of the ones for the end of New Hope, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe. Could it be General Maydeen?
Could be.
No, because it's Chris Maydeen, isn't it?
Yeah,
is that
change that? Can change
Arlo?
What was the one from Hoth? The general.
Oh, Don Donna? No. I don't know. Could it? Well, the one played by Norm.
Riken. Was it Riken?
Could be Riken.
Yeah, I reckon it's him. Harlow Riken.
Harlow Riken, played by Bruce Bower, who was also in 40 Towers in the Waldorf Salad episode.
There has to be a payoff for Uncle Harlow. Has to be at some point.
Yeah, there's got to be a payoff. I like that there's a lot of things being seeded, and I hope we're going to get a payoff from all of it.
Yeah,
there was stuff seeded in Solo that we never got payoff for. You know, plenty was seeded in the sequel trilogy, and we didn't really get a payoff for that. So, yeah. I think I'm hoping it all comes together. Can't wait to watch. It
has to be someone in a position of power, as Uncle
Yes.
Harlow.
Yeah. Could it be one of the Emperor's dudes in purple? Imperial dignitaries, maybe. Don't know. They're more sort of great uncles. They were a bit knackered looking when we saw them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm hoping he has a payoff.
Yeah.
I hope he gets some screen time and absolutely chews it as well.
It feels like it's been built up by me in my head so much now. It needs to be like a David Hasselhoff. It needs that kind of actor.
What you want him to come out on the
be
wall
like Knight Rider,
all the dead people wall, the memory wall in fact all dead people, and sing on it.
Yeah, that would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Singing on the wall like Hasselhoff. Yeah,
that would be quality.
I'd pay to see that. Do you know what I wish we'd get is Andor on the cinema? Because some of these scenes just look so phenomenal. The set design, the locations they've gone to is just wonderful. And it works so well.
Yeah. The next scene, look at me with my slick links today.
Yeah.
I like, and it didn't require any great scenery or anything. It was just two great acting pieces, and they were talking in riddles and to each other about a deal that had gone wrong, but really they were relaying information about issues to do with the rebellion, and it was kind of foreshadowed a little bit what happens to Luthien in this episode, because
Yeah.
very quickly he's got
Oh,
an Imperial
Colin Cantwell class.
yeah, basically what the UK needs in the Seven the channel at the moment is
Yeah.
someone to protect the borders a little bit, and it's a very
It could be
cool
done.
looking Imperial ship.
Yes. It's a design for the mid-70s that Colin did. And it was, I mean, we've seen it briefly in Solo. It was on
Okay.
one of the kind of up at the top, but seeing it fully fledged in this, I mean, it was in the trailer very briefly, which I didn't really pay enough attention to because I didn't want to know about the trailer really. But seeing this scene, it's a bit of spaceshipy stuff. Bring it on!
Yeah.
Yeah,
And basically, our Imperials give the order to Luthien to prepare for boarding, and
yeah,
they're going to tractor him, beam him in, and
yeah.
inspect him because he's been above a planet with suspected rebellion links. And
I mean, we've seen the Imperials so many times, and in this show they seem fairly competent.
yeah,
But we've gone back to the classic New Hope incompetent numpties who, rather than just go, oh, let's tractor beam them in, we'll wait a couple of minutes, sir, let them get their codes and stuff. No. You're bad boys. You're run by the Emperor. Turn your tractor beam on, get him in.
yeah. And as you say, the delay too long, it gives Luthien a chance to prepare his countermeasures, which include firing some, I guess, rockets or something.
Yeah, countermeasures.
Into the tractor beam, taking it out,
Absolutely wicked.
which allows him to fly free.
Yeah.
And the Imperials do send out some fighters, but he turns his ship into Darth Maul's lightsaber
Yeah.
and takes some of them out. I didn't like that, to be honest. Like, all the things that I didn't like that. I thought it was too cheesy.
It was cheesy. It was really cool. It was an amazing piece, it's a little set piece. Which, this show hasn't had a lot of set action pieces in it.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see, but it was a bit far-fetched. A bit like the Holdo manoeuvre. Why hasn't every ship got a set of lightsabers attached to the sides of it?
That's
It
the
was
other, that's the other potential who Uncle Harlow could be. Harlow Haldo could be an ancestor.
no. It was, you know what? It was really cool to see some spaceship action because we've not really had a lot of it. We've had some TIE fighters on the planet and not a lot else in this show. We didn't really get a lot in Kenobi. We got bits and bobs in Mando. We didn't really get any in Boba Fett, even though we should have gone planet to planet. Mando had already done that. But yeah, seeing some spaceship battle stuff, even though it was a light little bit, was absolutely awesome to see.
Yep. So it was
It
good to
looked
see.
cool.
It was good to see Luthien flex his muscles a little bit as well. So he's
Yeah.
not just skulking in the background; he's prepared to take them on.
No. Props
but
off to his computer as well, played by the wonderful David Collins, friend of ours.
yeah,
It's cool. It's a cool little ship. Hopefully somebody will make a little toy of it. I think Mission Fleet, no Mission Series, the little micro machine ones that Jasmine's doing. They should make this ship. It's a cool little ship.
yeah.
You can get a machine of the other ship that's there, but they did that part of the Colin Cantwell collection last year. Was it this year? No, this year they did them. Micro machines did them.
Yep.
Might have been last year. I don't know.
And that allowed him basically to get away. And
Yes.
that was him for the episode because we headed back to Ferrex.
Yeah.
And Cassian's putting in a call, trying to reach his friends, got a message to Marva. And he gets the news, which nobody wants to hear, that his mother, Marva, mother stroke abductor,
Yeah. Has passed on.
Has passed on. And it kind of hits him pretty hard.
It does. In the phone box, which looks like an 80s BT phone box. Yeah, stood there, didn't we? We stood right there.
Yep.
Did wonder that when we saw the leaked shots last year of them filming there, why we didn't see any of this in the first time we visited the seaside, Miami, Vegas, of the Miami of Star Wars.
Sat there and had an ice cream.
We did, and we had a lovely fish supper, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
And quality clothes there. Almost matching your shirt. We'll just pull you up on screen so people can appreciate your shirt this evening.
Look at that. If you look close enough, look at that. Where is she? I've got some B. Arthur. Yeah, from the guys at Roosevelt. I really like that shirt. I hope somebody else, you need to make that shirt for us. You need to get the design and put that as a shirt, because I'd wear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we kind of got a scene that kind of echoes Rogue One a little bit. He's looking off into the sea, into the sun just coming down, and the emotion hits home. He's back. He's alone in the galaxy once more.
Yes.
And we head into the final episode with the big question: is he going to go back to Ferrix? Is he going
to find his sister? Will we find out who Uncle Arlo is?
Yep. He's is he going to encounter the Imperials? Is he going to encounter Cyril? Everyone seems to be heading to Ferrix.
Yeah.
Maybe not Luthien. Don't know what's going to happen with him, where he's going to be heading. Mon Mothma's story needs to cap somewhere as well. For the series, it looks like she's going to be doing the deal with the devil, and potentially introducing her daughter to
hide my money. I'll give you my child.
Yeah, pretty much. It's looking dodgy. And everybody else, Cinta's on Ferrix, Deidre's heading there, Cyril's heading there, Cassian most likely heading there for the funeral, because how can he resist? And as you say, we've still got the unanswered question from the very first episode of Cassian's looking for his sister, and that's how all this trouble started, and that's a big unknown.
You know what? So far this season, he's had a bloody rough ride, hasn't he?
It's not been the best of years, is it?
No. Luke and Han seem to have had it quite easy in the original trilogy.
I still have this feeling that Cinta's going to be his sister, but we'll have to wait and see on that.
I haven't thought about that. Do you know what? I'm really enjoying the show and the build of it. Yes, people are complaining it's a slow build and a slow burn, but my God, you don't get to know some characters really well and get to know the story and get to know the new stuff.
I don't necessarily think it's worked well as episodic TV, but I think if you sat down and watched the whole series back, then it's very, very good.
Yeah, from where we're up to so far, I would have happily gone to the cinema and seen the 3-episode story arcs, because they've got in each arc. Not this episode so much. We'll wait and see what happens in the second half of this kind of arc. But the 3 story arcs, the Ferrix arc and the Highlands arc and then the prison arc, I'd have happily watched each of those 3 at the cinema without any edits, nice and long, and they'd have been brilliant. They are 3 separate stories in themselves that build to one big thing. If you'd have released them every 3 months in a cinema around the world, I'd have paid to go and see them, because they're so good.
Yeah.
The scripts are brilliant. The performances are fantastic. It looks $1 billion. It really does. I mean, it's not been a cheap show to make. You sent me a photo the other day of The Quarry, a pan shot somebody had done with a drone. And you saw the production office and crew they had built there. And they were there for a week filming what is 3 minutes on screen, if that. And it looked brilliant. It looked Star Wars. It didn't look real world. You know, that quarry didn't have light sand at the bottom. They went down and they took trucks of real sand and filled all that down there. And then the aliens were great. Yeah, there wasn't a lot of characters there. There was only the 4 of them there. But it feels so much better. It feels so much Star Wars. It's so rich.
Yeah.
You know, you can't appreciate how rich a world they have curated and built here. There's something wrong with you, because Kenobi and Fett felt so lackluster and empty to me. The towns weren't populated. the town here is well populated. You know, on Ferrix, the town is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's
And
modern real life. It's worn. It's Star Wars.
in Andor, you've got close to 100 characters in the first series that actually have names and feel like they've got like a story behind them.
Yeah, I saw something with Gilroy, and he said there's 170 speaking parts in the show, or something like that. Whatever them was, it was ridiculous, and it's just beautifully done. It's a rich world, and I'd rather see more of this. Even though we don't know any of the characters in the show really, apart from Mon Mothma, Cassian, Melchi, and who else? There's like one or two others we know from other Star Wars stuff. But it's wonderful. We've not had no lightsabers in it. Well, we've now had lightsabers on a spaceship, I suppose. You know, but that's it. But it's a much better build of a real story. It's so much brilliant escapism, and that's what we go to Star Wars for. Is good storytelling and escapism. Yes, it padded out a bit, but I like that. It's doing it for me big time, dude.
Yeah, I agree.
Even the droids.
What do you want from the finale? It comes out Wednesday.
Only a couple of days away. I'd like some closure on some storylines. You know, I don't think we need to answer every question we've been given in season one. Everything that's been seeded, I'm hoping some of it will follow through to season two. I think we need to find out his sisters. I hope Cyril needs to do something, because Cyril ain't really done a lot. You know, what do you want?
Cocoa Pops.
I think they're more corn puffs, but yeah, you know, yeah, they're Reese's cereal, chocolate and mint ones. I want a bit. I want some stories to. The build has been brilliant, so I want some of it to pay off. I think, and I want a crescendo, and I want something big to happen. It seems every arc has a big final set piece in it. You know, we had the spaceship takeoff and the escape from Ferrix in the first story arc. We had the heist, which was fantastic in the second story arc. We had the absolutely goddamn wonderful, one of the best pieces of Star Wars we've had in years, Prison Break, which was emotionally turmoil, but absolutely wonderfully played out.
For me, I kind of want to see a big clash in Ferrix. I want to see the Imperials. I want to see Cinta. I want to see Cyril. I want to see Cassian all clash. Cassian obviously is going to have to get away in some way, but maybe there's some kind of finale. Maybe Cinta's the one to die to affect Vel.
You just want to see death.
Cyril needs to
Right.
live.
Death.
Cyril needs to live.
Right.
Deidre needs to fall in love with him. I don't know what I want from Luthien in the final.
You're twisted.
He almost feels like he can go into season 2 already. Don't know if he needs to be too heavily involved. Not sure what I want from Mon Mothma either. I feel like there needs to be a little bit harder conflict between her and the rest of her family. Maybe the start of the Imperials looking at her money. Just really apply the heat on her.
Are you looking to see her and her husband actually fall out and split up and her go full rebel on them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Might be a little bit too early for that.
Her story's been brilliant and it's been a really nice build.
Yeah.
You know, we're playing very much the long game with Mon Mothma of where she is coming from and where she's going. We know she's got to end up on Yavin.
I'd like for her to have an encounter with Palpatine at some point. Not like a nasty conflict, but just a passing in the corridors of the Senate kind of thing.
I don't think anybody sees Palpatine at all these days. I think where we're at with it now, I think Palpatine stays stuck back in his house and he doesn't come out and he's got other people doing his biding for him.
Yeah, maybe.
I was really hoping to see... Who was it they mentioned? Who's the bald chick who was his senator helper in episode 3?
Yeah, I know who you mean.
They mentioned her, didn't they? And we didn't get to see her at the party.
Yeah,
which
she was one of the party guests. But we
yeah.
never saw her.
Her name? Oh, she was in episode 3 anyway. They did a figure of it. But yeah, she was name dropped, but we didn't actually get a payoff from that. I just realised. So I'd like to see her maybe. I don't think Mon would actually meet Palpatine. but I think she would meet some of his subordinates, and not Imperials by him, but more his.
I just want him to be like turn up at a party as like a sleazy guest and just say something. Just say something creepy.
What, and he bought
I'm not looking for like not looking for an in-depth kind of scene, just a little cameo where he says something.
No, I don't want to see him.
Just something like, "We'll be watching you closely, Mon," or something.
No, I don't want to see that. I'd rather one of his lackeys came. I'd rather see Masamida turn up, or whatever she was called.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember her blooming name, nor can you.
I just feel there needs to be a point that she just completely snaps and goes rebel. And I just think that it has to be something Palpatine does that makes that happen.
Yeah. I really like we've not seen the Imperials at all, really. I mean, we've now had a few on Ferrix turn up, but we had nothing Imperial for the first 3 episodes except the ISB.
Yeah.
I really like we didn't see any Stormtroopers. I really like we didn't see any TIE fighters or anything until the second story arc. It was nice seeing the evil in the galaxy build, and the fact we've seen a lot of the Imperials' point of view where they're just doing their jobs. They think they're creating order in the galaxy under Palpatine because he is the Supreme Emperor, and playing it for a part.
We're kind of just seeing the sort of the bubbling of the rebellion beginning. People starting to realise what's going on with the Empire a little bit. So I reckon season 2 there has to be like an explosive event that really magnifies that.
Yes. Yeah.
It kind of feels like if we go with the rumour that the suggestion that they're building parts for the Death Star, at some point we're going to probably see the Death Star, and at some point the Death Star is going to do something like a test firing, and maybe that's an instigator for a lot of things in the galaxy.
Well, yeah, but how far before Rogue One is this? It's not going to be a fully built Lego kit, is it?
No.
Lego set.
No, but if you're building something like a Death Star, you build the laser first, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't build the canteen and the place that the Penara Ariata and all that nonsense.
Yeah, it can very much be like your Andor scenario.
Yeah, places like your throw cushion, your scatter rugs and all the nonsense, and your Hooters in the Death Star. There is a Hooters in the Death Star, you know that. I've got a signed photo from Richard Parmentier, Admiral Motti, with him in front of the Death Star, and Motti put on their Hooters is just here because he had a good view because he was a great Imperial. He got off too quickly, I think. Yeah. Oh, could that be who Uncle Harlow is? Is it Harlow Motti?
Could be. That would be a good shout.
No, George said it was Conan Antonio Motti, but I'd like that. Yeah. We'll wait and see.
On that bombshell.
Yeah,
I think that's how we end the episode, Matt.
Yeah.
So appreciate you for joining me for this week's
always, dude.
Review of Andor. We'll be back Thursday night for a live show, where we'll be recapping the big finale, everything that's happened, and then previewing what we think might happen in season 2.
So I read somewhere it's quite a long episode, the last one.
I don't say that. I like to try and get it watched before I go to work in the morning.
And it starts at 8 and you've got to be at work for 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calling sick.
We'll fast forward through the boring bits.
There aren't any though.
No, don't.
You can fast forward through the droid bits unless it's
yeah, that's what I go for. The droid bits get fast forward.
Okay, you do that.
Right.
I'll
join us Thursday night live. We'll be reviewing episode 12. Until then, keep your eyes out on fathertracks.com and at fathertracks on all our social medias. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. Good night.
Good night.
Keep up to date with the latest Star Wars news each and every day on FanthaTracks.com. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Tumblr, and Pinterest at FanthaTracks. And be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow FanthaTracks TV to be alerted to new content and to be a part of our live shows.